wormholes, particle physics, extra dimensions. Are the wonders of so-called reality really what they appear to be? Or do we exist in an elaborate hologram? Is our universe the result of random activity or the result of intelligent design? If a creator was involved, can we discover him through our perception of divine order? This is Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck.
Rahm Emanuel once said to never let a crisis go to waste. Well, Rahm's rule has proven to be true in light of the coronavirus. Are they trying to implement the technology needed for the mark of the beast? We're going to talk about that and more on today's Into the Multiverse. Hey everybody, hope you are doing well. Welcome to another Into the Multiverse. Very excited to be talking with you yet again, and happy to be able to do this. So we talked a little bit last time about some of the strange belief systems that are showing through in light of coronavirus, especially with celebrities and things like that. But there's another layer of this that I wanted to talk about, which is how other people have been using this catastrophe to try and push forward their own, frankly, just horrific policy plans. And there's, I mean, this is literal, like, Book of Revelation, Mark of the Beast territory stuff.
And we're seeing this more and more. It's getting kind of crazy. So I wanted to talk about first this biometric tracking solution, and this is being proposed to be the solution to contain coronavirus. So this comes from biometricupdate.com, and it says Supercom is providing a tracking biometric technology-based solution for quarantine and isolation monitoring to help governments contain infectious diseases such as coronavirus, the company announced. Now, what I want you to pay attention to, and we've talked about this a lot here on Into the Multiverse, and I've talked about it on my other shows such as Peck Report at dailyrenegade.com if you're interested in that. If you want more daily type of content, but or you can go to Skywatch TV and find some of our other programming there. But what they'll do when they want to push something is they'll always look at the best, like, humanitarian effort, like the best case scenario, and that's not the question we should be asking. So they'll use these catastrophes and say, well, we need these things now. We need biometric scanning. We need the government to be able to track everybody. We need that for catastrophes such as this. And if only they were being honest, if only we could trust that all it would be used for is to contain the coronavirus and it would never be abused. But unfortunately, these things are run by people, and human beings are fallen creatures that tend towards selfishness and tend towards tyranny and things like that. So we shouldn't ask, what's the best case scenario? Because best case scenario never happens, right? We should ask, how will this be abused? What's the worst case scenario? And we actually read about that type of thing in the Book of Revelation in passages about the mark of the beast, the whole beast system. Something must be put in place in order to track who has worshipped the beast and who has not. There is some type of mark that will identify those who are allowed to participate in the economy, and in order to get the mark, people have to worship the beast. And that's why I say, like, nobody can really be tricked into the mark of the beast. You can't force the mark of the beast onto somebody, because there's some level of willingness. The individual must willingly worship the beast in his image. There's some level of conscious, willing worship there. What that looks like, what exactly that is, who can really know for sure? But when things like this come about, we can see how these things will be implemented in the future. When Supercom is saying that, we need this biometric tracking system in order to contain things like coronavirus, they're using the fear and they're using the panic that people are feeling right now in order to push through their own totalitarian thing, It's like that famous quote. It goes something. I'm probably going to butcher it, but goes something like, "If you're willing to sacrifice your rights for security, you don't deserve either, and you'll lose both," or something like that. I'm probably butchering that a little bit, but you know what I'm talking about. When we sacrifice our rights, for some level of protection, that and people are more willing to do that when these disasters happen, like coronavirus or anything like that. We don't get those rights back. Once you give the government power, it is very difficult to take it back. It's the same with corporations. It's the same with Supercom or anything like that. Once you give them power, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to ever get it back. So the article continues. It says, the solution is a scalable electronic monitoring and tracking platform ready for deployment. So it's already ready. It includes a waterproof, hypoallergenic Bluetooth ankle bracelet. Imagine wearing one of those all the time. A smartphone and an SaaS software in the cloud, but is also customizable, such as for smartphone-only monitoring. Supercom says is already speaking with a number of government organizations to roll out the solution globally. The system monitors patient location in any environment, including in buildings and vehicles, and supports existing healthcare containment models. It comes with smartphone integration, secure communication, advanced security, anti-tamper mechanism, fingerprint, biometrics, voice communication, unique touch zone, and extended battery life. Now, who would this be for? Imagine, they'll probably start off saying that this would only be rare, which is it's not funny because so many people are dying, but it's kind of funny because they said that about abortion too. Rare, legal, safe, and rare. Well, they do that with these things. So they're going to say that this will be rare, only used in certain circumstances. But what happens if, for example, a church wants to gather? Right now there are places that where you can't gather in a church. People are giving up their liberties just to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Local governments are getting really totalitarian about it and telling people that they can't gather in a church anymore. That's too far. So what happens when Christians try to go to church or try to fellowship with one another? They're going to have to be monitored because they're breaking quarantine. Are they going to have to be monitored by the government? I mean, you see exactly where this type of thing can lead. So it says, dubbed Pure Health, the solution integrated pure security technology that has already been used to track and monitor people with location restrictions in the USA, Canada, Sweden, Denmark, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Estonia, China, and Latvia, among others. And of course, they're going to say, like, at first that this is just for like sex offenders and stuff. But we know that that's not where it's going to stop. I mean, it never. Those things never stop that way. Things degrade. Things get worse. Things tend towards totalitarianism more often than not. Quote, our expertise in advanced technology for monitoring of people in countries around the world uniquely positions us to aid governments in monitoring of individuals which are at risk of spreading the virus, like Christians, because we go to church, said Orden Trebelsi, president of Supercom Americas, in a prepared statement. Quote, we have worked with governments for over 30 years on their most sensitive and critical security projects and hope to partner and help them as well during these turbulent times. Our technology is ready for deployment and works with existing healthcare containment models for control and surveillance of patients with infectious disease. Supercom reported that they had picked up 9 new contracts during 2019. So it says surveillance of patients with infectious disease. Well, that's not going to be limited to only people with the disease, maybe people who are likely to have the disease. And how would the government know if somebody has the disease or not unless there's nationwide testing, unless everybody needs to be tested so the government can catalog? If only we could trust the people in power to not abuse this power that we're giving them. So this type of thing, you can see how easily it would be to target Christians, because we gather, we go to church, and we spread viruses. How easy it would be to say we need to start tracking Christians. And by the way, it wouldn't only be Christians. I imagine they would do that to Muslims too. But you actually don't know that, because with all the sensitivity around Muslims, I could see them giving Muslims a pass, but not Christians. I could see that. Or they could say that Muslims are a minority, so they're not as much of a threat, whereas Christians, they're all over the place. There's a lot of us. You don't really know how they're going to frame it, but if you give corporations or the government this type of power, it's going to be nearly impossible to get it back. Now, I know in this case, it's not essentially that we're giving it to them because they're developing it on their own, but we are giving it to them if we don't talk about it, if we don't demand that this is too far, especially here in America. We're not going to stand for this kind of stuff. It's too far. This level of this type of technology for this reason is absolute evil. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to accept it. And if there is, we know how these companies work. If there is enough of a public outcry, they tend to cave. If there's enough of a public outcry, and it doesn't even take that much to get that level of outcry today. Now, with us Christians, we need more of it than usual, but if you think about it, think how easily companies cave after like 1,000 leftists bug them about something they said or something they don't agree with. These companies tend to cave pretty easily. That's actually why there's so much censorship on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook now, is because of a very small minority of leftists that complained to them and kept getting people banned. And these huge corporations are caving to this very small group of insane progressives. They're caving to them. They don't like the social pressure. They think that it's actually a larger group than what it is. So why aren't we doing the same thing with things that actually matter when there are more of us? There's a lot of Christians in this country. Why aren't we doing exactly what I'm doing now, using social media, making YouTube videos? We should be making videos saying how evil this is. We should be telling Supercom how we feel about them. Sending emails even. If we did that enough, and pressuring our local government to never accept this type of thing, as well as our federal government, if enough of us did that for long enough, it would stop. But unfortunately, I'm a little pessimistic when it comes to that. I don't think enough of us are going to do it. I don't think most of us will do that. I think that we're going to wait until things get really bad, until we're actually being monitored, which in a lot of ways you're already being monitored. It's just easy to ignore. But I think we're gonna wait till it directly affects our lives, our personal lives, and then we're gonna complain about it. But the problem is, by then it'll be too late. By then the technology will be in place. There will already have been laws created around it protecting it. It'll be too late. That complacency is what's going to be our downfall, and we should not let that happen. So keep your eyes on this kind of stuff. We're certainly going to keep our eyes on it, on Into the Multiverse. And what can you do about it? Well, that's exactly what you can do about it. What I just laid out, what I just said. Don't stand for it. It's more than just complaining about it once it's implemented. You got to get at it ahead of time. And I can't do it alone. We all got to do it together, and we have to do it knowing the media is going to paint us as a bunch of apocalyptic weirdos. They're going to paint us as horrific monsters that don't want people to be safe. So we have to be prepared with arguments that counteract that. We have to not get on the defensive. Don't ever get on the defensive. Be the one that's on the offensive. When you're debating somebody or arguing with somebody, or if somebody is trying to paint you as a monster, don't defend and try to tell them, no, I'm not a monster because I'm this and I'm this and I do this and I said that. Don't do that. Don't even contend with it because it's ridiculous. Just know your points. Know what you're going to say. If you ever have to talk to somebody about this, or if you're going to email the company, or if you're going to make a video, know your points. it doesn't matter what they think of you as a person. That doesn't change the facts that you can present. How this absolutely will be abused, and you can show examples of how technology like this is already abused. How Facebook tracks people, how people are being censored all the time because a corporation doesn't like it. You can use examples like that. That this tracking system, it's not just going to stop. And who gets to decide who's tracked and who's not? The government, the company? Both are bad decisions. Do you trust the government enough to decide who it's going to track? And if you're talking to somebody on the left, then you can say, do you really trust Donald Trump to decide who gets tracked and who doesn't? Do you want that? And if you're talking to somebody on the right, well, you talk to somebody on the right, you won't even have to bring a person into it. You can just say the government. But it's the same with Christians. Do you want anybody in the government making that decision? Do you want a corporation or any company making that decision? Who gets tracked and who doesn't? Obviously, this is going to be used to strip away religious liberties under the guise of preventing the spread of a virus. The government is going to use this as well as corporations, companies. And when I say the government, I'm actually not talking about Trump, because I don't think Trump himself would stand for something like that. But President Trump, he's not going to be the president forever, you know. So we don't want to give the government this power, because the government is going to be in power until we get run over, or until we get taken over by some other regime, or until the country just falls into shambles. You know, who knows? But the government's going to be there as long as America is here. So we don't want to give the government that much power, and we don't want to give private companies that much power. So we need to put a stop to it before it heads into, you know, real danger zone. And so that's what we can do about it. We need to stay up on the story, all of us, each of us. We need to stay on the story, and we need to realize the arguments too, because this is the kind of stuff they'll say. Here's another one. Supercom continues, and this is a quote. Oh, up here. This is the direct quote from Supercom America's president, Ordon Trebelsi. As a public safety solutions manufacturer, Supercom must be selective in whom we work with. We are continually impressed with the level of highly respected partners we're able to contract with. These quality partnerships are a testament to the value of our products can bring to the market. So first, they see themselves as a public safety solutions manufacturer. That's what they're seeing themselves as and presenting themselves as. Public safety. So basically, if you're against them, or if you're against their solutions, then you're against public safety. That's how they're trying to paint you. And that's how the general public will look at us. So we need to have really good arguments to show why this stuff is can easily be abused by anybody in power, and can be used to take away our liberties. So he continues on, quote, Supercom continues to win new business in a competitive and demanding market with legacy incumbent vendors. Public safety technology product evaluations are lengthy and thorough. There's a lot riding on the line, and customers cannot afford to make the wrong decision. Additionally, they make considerable investment in time and effort educating their staff on the operations and capabilities of our product. Each win continues to demonstrate industry acceptance and faith in our abilities. See, that is what they are asking for. They're asking for faith. They're asking for your faith. They're asking for the American people's faith. And many people in this country will give them that. They will give them their faith. They will trust them with this technology. So we need to be there. And it doesn't even have to be a Christian mark of the beast type of argument. Because the second you make that argument, a lot of people who aren't Christian are just going to think you're crazy, and they're going to think you're a loon because they don't get it. We want them to be Christian, but we don't want to shut down the conversation immediately. We need these people to see how bad this technology is and how it can be abused. And you don't need to bring Christianity and the Bible and the mark of the beast into it. The second you do that, all you're doing is you're making sure that person is not going to agree with you if they're not a Christian. You can witness to them, but make that a separate conversation. That's a different conversation, and it's important that you do that. You need to witness to people. We talked about that last time. You need to take the gospel seriously, but that's not this conversation. This conversation it needs to be a nationwide conversation where all of us on the side of anti-totalitarianism, Christian and non-Christian, we need to be able to work together to show the rest of the country how this type of technology is wrong. It can be easily abused by Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter who's in office. And that's something that we all should be able to agree on. So we can't let this continue, and we have to, if there's enough pushback, it'll stop. If there is enough pushback, because this company doesn't want to go under. If there is enough pushback, the government will cave and these companies will cave. The problem is we as Christians don't like to push back. That's the problem, and that's why it's easy for the world to persecute us. And I'm not talking about like what goes on in the Middle East. That's not because Christians aren't pushing back. That's a whole separate thing. I'm talking about here in America. That's why it's easy for companies such as YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. That's why it's easy for them to censor us, because there's not enough of us actually pushing back. Us content creators will push back, but the general public, just Christians who aren't making YouTube videos, Christians whose lives this doesn't directly affect, they don't push back enough. Or what they'll do, if they do anything, is they'll complain on the social media site itself that they're being censored. But they're still using they're still using that product, and they're not complaining directly to the company. We have a few people in office that are standing up for us. Ted Cruz is one of them, that are trying to stand up for us. But even him, he's just one guy. Like, we all need to get together and fight against this stuff, and we need to let companies know, look, your company is going to go under if you don't take care of us Christians. You can't. We need to create a culture where a company cannot be anti-Christian and thrive and grow. If we're really a Christian nation, if it's really true that 80% of us are Christian, I don't believe that at all. I think 80% of us probably call ourselves Christian. I don't believe we actually are. But if that's true, and even only, I believe it's probably 1%. 1% of the country is actual true Christians. But that's all it takes. That's all it would take if that 1% fought back against this stuff, really fought against this stuff. If we all decided we were going to start campaigning against social media, we were going to stop using this social media stuff, they would see a severe drop in their stocks. And they would cave, because for them it's all about money. If they don't have us using their product, they don't have us to click on their ads. And that's how they make their money, through advertisement. They don't have us buying the products that are advertised through their uses. And I know it seems a little strange that I'm active, like right now I'm using YouTube to tell all you guys this. But how else am I supposed to tell you? If you're going to use social media, use it to try to start getting people active. Because look, this isn't all I'm going to do. And that's the point. That's the difference. Go ahead and complain on Facebook, but that can't be all that you do. We've got to do more here. We have to actively fight back against this stuff. I have been emailing YouTube like crazy. I have been fighting back against YouTube to the best of my ability. But again, I'm just one guy. We all need to be doing this. We all need to be clicking that send feedback thing on YouTube. And we need to show them specific examples of how they are censoring us. I made a short little 6-minute documentary about my son Nathan's battle with cancer. YouTube deleted that. YouTube said it was harmful and or dangerous. They even went as far as to lie and say that I was selling illegal drugs in that video. It is a 6-minute mini documentary about my son's battle with cancer. That's all it is. And they went that far. So I fought against that as hard as I could. Never got the video back. Luckily, YouTube didn't cave, but it's because I'm one guy. I'm only one guy making a fuss. and it's only on this one situation. We all need to make a fuss every situation. That's the only way that these companies are going to cave, that they're going to change, that they're going to start treating us right. But a lot of times we get too complacent, we get too comfortable, we don't want to make a fuss, we don't want to offend anybody. We just want to live our lives and be left alone, and these companies aren't directly affecting us yet. So we're not fighting against it. But the problem is, by the time that they are directly affecting you, it's too late. Too late at that point. They're too big, they're too powerful. So we all need to get together and fight against this tracking thing. We need to make it very loud and clear that we as Americans, you don't even need to say as Christians, but we as Americans, this is anti-American. It's anti-Christian too, but again, they will have an easier time just shutting you down if you bring that up. So it's not useful in this specific conversation, this nationwide conversation, but that we as Americans aren't going to stand for it. And I'm not saying don't bring up Christianity at all. There might be a time and a place for it, but this is anti-American garbage, and we need to be standing against it. We need to be united in that. We need to make it clear that we as Americans do not want this tracking system in our country. We don't want the government or any company tracking us, and we've already given them too much. We've already let them track us and record us too much with all of this technology, like Alexa and everything in our cell phones and Internet of Things and all this stuff that we all willingly use. We're not even forced to use it, but we just decide to use it anyway. We've already given up too much. So we got to turn it around. We can't continue in this. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on Into the Multiverse. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that it inspired you to get involved in these very important issues, because even if you don't think it affects you, it absolutely does. And it will affect your kids and your grandkids, your children and your grandchildren. It will affect everybody. Just read the book of Revelation if you don't believe me, and see how bad this can really get. Get involved. All right, everybody, thank you so much, and until next time, take care and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself for one of the most shocking special offers in Skywatch TV history. We proudly announce the Shadowland Ultimate Collection. For your $35 donation during this very limited time offer, you'll receive the groundbreaking new book by Dr. Thomas Horn, Shadowland, that exposes the deep state actors at war with Christianity, Donald Trump, and America's destiny. The best-selling book by Pentagon analyst Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, Progressive Evil: How Radicals Are Redefining America's Rights, Making Her Globally Irrelevant for the End Times. Author Carl Gallup's brand new book, Masquerade, that explains the supernatural forces operating behind current global events. But this critical 3-volume collection also includes the original 5-part Skywatch Television Shadowland Investigative Series on DVD, absolutely free. Moreover, this incredible series contains the never-before-released on DVD, world-exclusive behind-the-scenes interview regarding perhaps the biggest scandal and cover-up in U.S. history. So hot, we're unable to discuss the specific contents on network television involving a 2-hour investigative interview with new forensic information connected to the Robert Mueller report that may soon send shockwaves through Washington, D.C. and around the world. But we're just getting started. The Shadowland Ultimate Collection also includes the brand new, never-before-released audio series by Dr. Thomas Horn himself, The Hidden Occultism of Epstein's Orgy Island. What demonic atrocities were going on at Epstein Island, and who were the high-powered individuals involved in some of the darkest occultic activities the world has ever witnessed. The contents of this mind-boggling 3-part exclusive audio series are far too sensitive for network broadcasting, and are directly from the private vault of Dr. Thomas Horn, available nowhere else. But we're still not done. You'll also receive the Best of Defender Publishing ebook collection on data disc, featuring 70 of the most information-packed, best-selling books in Defender history. These full-length works are in popular ebook formats, so you can read them on EPUB, PDF, Kindle, and other handheld electronic devices. Give this collection as the ultimate gift to somebody you know, or take them with you wherever you go. Valued at over $700 all by itself. This unprecedented collection sold separately holds a retail value of over $800. Yours now for only $35 plus shipping and handling. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime Skywatch TV exclusive offer, the Shadowland Ultimate Collection, available now at skywatchtvstore.com. Order online or call 1-844-750-4985.